Hey everyone, it's Jonathan here, founder of Driving Academy, and today we're going to talk about 5 essential truck driver skills that you're going to need in order to succeed in trucking. So my name is Jonathan, like I said, and I'm founder of Driving Academy, and to date we've trained over 10,000 students get their CDL license and help them get a job after with our lifetime job placement. So we know exactly what are the skill sets needed in order to become successful at trucking itself. So in this video we're going to be going over the 5 skill sets, and you want to wait till the end because that's probably a skill set that you probably have not even heard of before, but it's something that's going to make the big difference for your career, for your safety, and for your future. All right, so let's go into skill number 1. Skill number 1 is safe and defensive driving. So when it comes to safe and defensive driving, it is exactly what it sounds like. When it comes to trucks, you have to understand you're going to be driving an 80,000 pound vehicle. This is a huge piece of equipment. It's going to be completely different than driving your kind of like 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 pound car. Completely different experience, completely different way to drive this thing. So because we are driving these bigger vehicles, it's going to take a lot longer for this vehicle to stop. It takes an average truck about 300 feet to come to a complete stop, which means when you're driving safely out there, it's not about getting there the fastest, it's about getting there the safest. Because you would be considered a professional driver once you get a CDL license, you're held at a higher standard than most people who are driving on the road with you. That being said, it is super important that the main things we talk about when we're talking about being a safe driver and a defensive driver is going to be these 2 actionable skill sets. Skill set number 1 is going to be following distance. So depending on how fast you're going depends on what your following distance should be. Following distance simply means how far you should be from the car in front of you. If you're taking your permit test, you're probably going to get a question that sounds something like this. You're a 50-foot vehicle going 35 miles an hour. How many seconds of following distance should you have in front of you? Now, if you do the math, and I'll do the math quick in my head, you see the numbers kind of floating in the air, you're going to need to do about 5 seconds of following distance. The way the formula works is 1 second for every 10 feet of your vehicle, so we're a 50-foot vehicle, and if you're going faster than 40 miles an hour, you're going to need to add 1 second to it. If you're going slower than 40 miles an hour, you just keep it at that. So that becomes 5 seconds of following distance. Now, how do you actually track following distance? As you're driving, there's going to be a mile marker or a pole on the street or something like that. Once that car in front of you or that vehicle passes that mile marker, you start counting. 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, and by the time it gets to you, depends on what your following distance is. So if you want to avoid accidents and be as safe as possible, the following distance is definitely an important thing, because as long as you can stop with enough distance, you're not going to have any accidents that are in front of you, and you're not going to have anything that's going to be your fault, which is an amazing feeling to have. Now, the second actual practical thing when it comes to safety driving and defensive driving is actually checking your mirrors. So how often should you check your mirrors? Why is it so important? That has to do with more of defensive driving. So in order to play defense, you actually have to see what your opponents are doing, like any sports team, like any fight or anything like that. So mirrors are the ones that are going to help you out the most. It says that every 6 to 10 seconds you should be checking at a different mirror. So you should look like a high school lifeguard at a pool on summertime when all they're doing is going like this. That's right, I'm checking you out, I'm checking you out, I'm checking you out, I'm checking you out every, like I said, 6 to 10 seconds. So if you're always knowing what's happening on the outside of you, then your brain can automatically start calculating what to do worst case scenario. But first you have to become aware of it, because a lot of accidents actually happen simply because, oh, I'm either too close to the car in front of me or I didn't know what was around me, so I went into an accident. That awareness is going to be draining. It's going to take a little bit of time to actually get used to, but it's a muscle like anything else. The more you use it, the easier it's going to become. So when it comes to safety and defensive driving, make sure that you check your following distance and make sure you're checking your mirrors as often as possible to reduce your risk of any type of failure and to make sure that your trucking career is as successful as possible. All right, so now let's talk about the second topic, which is effective time management. And that's right, that thing right on your watch over here is good for telling time, but you have to be good at managing time. So are you going to be a victim to time, or are you going to be a time creator? Now, when you're driving a commercial vehicle, you're probably going to get paid to transport object from point A to point B in a certain amount of time frame. So you want to make sure that, yes, we're being safe and defensive, but we also want to make sure we're becoming efficient with our time. What does that mean? That means taking out your map. Where are you going? What time of day are you going? For instance, one of the busiest hubs in the country is going to be like going north to south on the East Coast around Washington, D.C. When are you planning to pass that area? Because if you pass that area around like that 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock time period, it's going to be bumper to bumper. Right? So the biggest things when it comes to time management is going to be, where am I actually going? What's my deadline of actually getting there? Okay, what time should I be transporting? And then you can also put in your brakes into the line too. Okay, it's going to be these many miles. I'm going to need to fuel. I'm going to need to refuel at a certain amount of time, and I should refuel here, so then I can just go to the bathroom and eat while I'm there, so I cut down time, so I'm not wasting any time. Because when you actually start becoming an over-the-road truck driver or a regional truck driver, you actually don't get paid by the hour anymore. You get paid by the mile. So the more efficient you are on driving, the easier it's going to be to make more money as a truck driver itself. Because you're going to be able to transport more miles in less time, which means a bigger paycheck to you at the end of the week, right? And all that comes out to is how efficient can you be. Choosing the right routes, making sure that you're planning your trip correctly, and then making sure how efficient you get to be. Now there's main two things that you get to worry about: planning your routes and making sure you're planning your trip correctly when it comes to when you're going to stop, when you're going to fuel up, how far away is the rest stop, and when you're going to be resting and all that stuff as well. All right, so that's it for time management. All right, so the third topic that's going to help you out to become successful in the trucking industry is going to be effective communication. So a lot of people have this misunderstanding where once you're a truck driver, you don't have to talk to anybody. You're just inside the truck, you just get to chill out, and that's it. Well, there's two types of communication that you're going to have to do on an ongoing basis. Type number one is going to be communication to the drivers around you. So what does that mean? Driving communication. So using your horn properly, making sure the turn signals are going well. If you're following our first tip where we talked about defensive driving and checking out those mirrors, you should know where everybody else is. Effective communication helps you communicate with everybody else around you on where you're planning to go so they can get out of your way, and then you can be as safe as possible. Now the second side of communication when it comes to becoming a truck driver is with all the third-party vendors, brokers, and customers that you have to communicate with, and potentially even people, dispatchers in your company. So the way it works with communication is the more communication, the better it is for the customer and for the broker, because the customer is only worrying about, hey, when is my delivery going to get here? Just like when you're waiting for Amazon to come in, these guys are coming in and you're waiting for that delivery. Amazon understood how important communication was, where if you have their app, they actually tell you, okay, this person has X amount of stops before it gets to you. This person is going to get to you in this time frame. And you're getting constant updates simply because humans love constant communication when it comes to their things. So when it comes to becoming a professional driver, the better organized you are, the more communicative you are with the proper parties, the easier it's going to be. Now, a lot of truck drivers out there do fall into the bad communication, where they put on their headsets and they're talking to their boyfriends, their girlfriends, their buddies from school, and their other truck drivers all day long. Truckers love to talk, and there's a lot of them, right? But they get caught up in all those conversations and they forget to actually communicate with the people that they need to communicate with. So my rule of thumb is whenever you want to kind of stand out, I would give 30-minute to 1 hour updates to whoever needs to, right? So if you're working for a bigger company, they have an in-house dispatcher. A good thing to do is kind of set yourself up for a 30-minute timer to 1 hour timer, and then just communicate with your dispatcher, hey, I'm picking up the load now, and in an hour I'm going to follow up with you to let you know what mile marker I'm at, right? Some companies are big and they have GPS trackers and stuff like that, other ways to communicate. You can definitely do that, but if you're with a smaller to medium-sized company that doesn't have that infrastructure, over communication is important. Making sure that you're communicating which routes you're going on, making sure that you're communicating how far you are from the delivery stop, and especially making sure you're communicating if something ever goes wrong. One of the worst things companies hate is a driver who tries to hide mistakes that went wrong, especially if you're trying to fix it and it just got worse. The easiest thing to do is just communicate. If you're with the right company, they're going to guide you in the right direction and they're going to keep you moving forward. All right, now, so the fourth topic we're going to be talking about is going to be mechanical knowledge. So you might be thinking, why do I have to be a mechanic, Jonathan, if all I want to do is drive a truck? Well, there is a portion of the new pre-trip inspection where you are going to have to know how to inspect both the inside and outside of the vehicle. That being said, you are going to have to know some mechanical knowledge there. Now, does that give you enough knowledge to become a mechanic? Absolutely not. Don't even think about it. I know trucks pretty well, and I'm not even qualified to become a mechanic. There's people who are a lot better than I am at that. But the benefit of actually understanding how the equipment works and understanding mechanical knowledge of the vehicle is when things do go wrong, and they always will, just like every car, just like every truck out there, you're going to be able to guide that mechanic or that supervisor in the proper direction. Because believe it or not, most of the actual repair shop bill for most people is going to be just diagnosing the problem. Here at the truck driving school, we actually have problems that mechanics have never seen before. I can tell you horror stories where like these trucks are just dealing with students. They're just inside the yard, and we had whole like drive shafts be twisted like a piece of paper, and it's crazy. It's like mechanics have never seen things like this. So a lot of time is actually spent on diagnosing, hey, how did this happen? What's actually the issue? If you actually understand how the truck works, engine-wise, mechanic-wise, then when you actually bring it to the shop, you can actually reduce the downtime because you can point that mechanic in the right direction. Because remember, as a truck driver, you're only getting paid when those wheels are moving. If you're in the shop for whatever reason, the longer you stay in the shop, the longer it's going to take you to get paid again. That being said, understanding mechanical ways of how the engine works, I'm not saying you have to fix everything, right? I'm just letting you know it's going to help you out dramatically and getting your butt back on the road and start making money. Now, for the fifth and final topic that's going to help you be successful in your trucking career is going to be, drum roll please, adaptability and problem solving. Now, this is something that's going to be a good skill set for you no matter what part of the industry you want to go into. Being able to be adaptable, being able to be problem solving is super important. Like for instance, today there was a snow day that happened, snow fell, and we as a company had to be adaptable and problem solve what our outcome was. Our outcome is to provide good training in a safe environment, right? So what we decided to do is become adaptable. We actually opened up late as a delayed opening, let the streets kind of clear up a little bit more before we brought in all the instructors on staff and made sure that people were safe and created a safe work environment for our students as well. That being said, it is super important to make sure that no matter what happens in life, and especially in the trucking career, nothing is set in stone. You're going to be driving on unpredictable roads. You're going to be driving next to people who are unpredictable and you cannot control. So your ability to be adaptable, your ability to be problem solving is amazing. Clear example is, say all of a sudden you're driving down the road and one of your tires pop. It's your inside tire on your trailer. Okay, you can think, okay, I'm going to just pull over to the road and stop and potentially cause a bigger accident, or you can be adaptable. You can start problem solving. You do a little bit of research in the front end and you say, okay, hey, all I need to go is another 2 miles up the street and then there's a service area that can change my tire. And for anybody who doesn't know, the back tires of your trailer, as long as your trailer is not fully loaded, you can pretty much run a couple miles with just one of the tires on the axle itself without causing this whole tow bill and making it super expensive, right? So the more adaptable, the more problem solving you are. That means the more profit in your company's pocket if you're working for somebody, especially more profit in your pocket if you're working for yourself, and it's going to help you out overall, become less stressed and making sure that anything is possible. So that being said, the 5 skill sets that are going to help you become as successful as possible in trucking is going to be safe and defensive driving. It's going to be effective communication, be time management skills, it's going to be mechanical knowledge, and it's also going to be problem solving and becoming adaptable. Now, I hope that this helped you out if you already have your CDL license. If you don't have your CDL license, this is what you need to develop by the time you do get your CDL license and you start working for a company. If you want to get your CDL license with the best truck driving school in the entire country, we're open up 7 days so we can help you out in any kind of schedule. All you need is $500 down to get started. And we have guaranteed training courses, which means that you can walk away with your CDL license as long as you don't give up on yourself. We have courses that can walk you through that entire step of the process. Check out our website, cdldrivingacademy.com. If there's any questions or maybe you want to find a location near you, just go to our Contact Us page. You'll see all the locations. If there are no locations near you, our Linden location can definitely service anybody who's anywhere in the country due to our third-party testing facility that we do have there. We're definitely here to help you and guide you every step of the way. So give us a call, 908-525-3609, or check out our website, cdldrivingacademy.com. Thanks. Hey, thank you so much for watching this video. If you like it, make sure you hit that like button. Also, subscribe to our channel. It's really going to help us out. Click on that button. And if you want to continue yourself on your road to freedom, here's more videos to watch. There's endless amounts. Hopefully we get to see each other one day very soon. Thanks.